Chosen one, can you feel the weight of this day? It is not just another sunrise, not just another number on the calendar. The 3rd of September was written long ago as a day of release, the moment heaven pours wealth into the lives of those who were chosen and preserved. You cried through deserts of lack. You endured nights of silence. You carried seasons where every door seemed locked. But heaven saw every tear, recorded every prayer, and kept every seed. And now the windows are opening. What was blocked begins to flow. What was withheld is finally being delivered. And the wealth that comes is not only material, it is spiritual, emotional, and eternal. This will not be just another day. It will be remembered as the moment God Himself declared, "You were never forgotten. I have prepared you, and now I release abundance over your life." Prepare yourself, because this day is not about survival. It is about overflow. The abundance of heaven is here, and your life will never be the same. Chosen one, there are ordinary days and there are appointed days. Ordinary days pass quietly, blending into one another, but appointed days are written in eternity long before you arrive at them. The 3rd of September is not just a date on a calendar. It is one of those days. It carries the weight of heaven's decree, a divine seal that cannot be altered by man. On this day, God has chosen to release wealth into the lives of His chosen ones. When people hear the word wealth, their minds immediately turn to money, possessions, and outward success. But heaven's definition of wealth is far greater. The wealth of God is first spiritual. It begins with peace that no storm can take away, joy that circumstances cannot extinguish, clarity that cuts through confusion, and strength that carries you when your own strength fails. This wealth seeps into the soul, flows into the body, and only then manifests outwardly in provision and opportunity. God is not merely interested in filling your hands. He is determined to fill your being with abundance that cannot be stolen. Think back to the deserts you have endured. You walked through long seasons where scarcity seemed to define your story. You asked, "If God sees me, why does nothing change?" And in the silence, you attempted to believe you had been forgotten. But deserts are classrooms, not punishments. The seasons of lack were not proof of abandonment. They were training grounds. Every moment of struggle, every tear you shed, every unanswered prayer was sowing into this day. The 3rd of September arrives as proof that God was never silent. He was preparing you to carry the weight of abundance. When heaven decides to release wealth, it does not trickle out cautiously. It overflows. It is as though windows open above you and suddenly what was blocked begins to move. The job that felt impossible begins to shift. The opportunities you thought were gone return in new form. The relationships that drain you fall away, and the ones that carry destiny arrive. Resources that seemed delayed appear right on time. These movements are not coincidence. They are heaven's declaration that the flow has begun. But the most important change is inside of you. Fear begins to lose its voice. Worry starts to quiet. The endless rehearsals of what if fade into the background as faith rises. That shift is the first evidence of wealth being released. Because abundance is not measured by what you hold, but by what holds you. When peace grips your heart more firmly than anxiety ever did, you are already rich. Chosen one, I ask you, are you prepared for this day? Prepared to believe that after all the waiting, the breakthrough is not just coming, but already here. Prepared to recognize that the hand of God is moving and that your story is entering a new chapter? Because appointed days require awareness. If you treat them as ordinary, you will miss the significance. But if you honor them, they become memorial stones in your journey, markers of when God shifted everything. This 3rd of September is one such marker. It is the day heaven has decided to release wealth, not just to meet your needs, but to overflow into your destiny. You will not simply survive, you will thrive. And every voice that told you it will never happen will be silenced by the evidence of abundance written across your life. Remember this: when God releases wealth, it is irreversible. No enemy can close the windows he has opened, no circumstance can lock what heaven has already unlocked. And from this day forward, your life will carry the testimony. On September 3rd, heaven released wealth, and I was never the same. Chosen one, when God speaks of wealth, he is not confined to the definitions that the world has created. Human beings measure wealth in coins, accounts, and possessions. They see it in numbers, in status, in what can be counted and displayed. But heaven's measure is far different. The wealth that God is releasing into your life on this 3rd of September cannot be confined to bank accounts or houses. It is a wealth that begins in the invisible, transforms the inner man, and only then manifests outwardly. Look around this world. You will see people with more than enough money, yet they walk through life hollow and restless. They sleep in mansions, but lie awake with anxiety. They possess treasures, but their hearts are full of bitterness, their souls aching with loneliness. Why? Because material riches cannot fill the emptiness of the soul. True poverty is not a lack of money. It is the absence of peace, the absence of purpose, the absence of the presence of God. That is why when heaven decides to make you rich, it does not start with things. It starts with your soul. The wealth of God looks like peace in the middle of storms. It looks like joy that wells up even when circumstances say you should be weeping. It looks like strength to stand when everything tried to knock you down. It looks like clarity of mind when confusion swirled around you. These are treasures that no one can steal, treasures that cannot rust, treasures that cannot be bought or sold. When God releases wealth, he first establishes this invisible abundance so that when material blessings arrive, you are not ruled by them, but you rule over them. And consider this: how many times did you think you had nothing, but still found strength to keep walking? How many nights did you lie in silence, only to feel a peace descend on you that made no sense in the natural? How many moments did joy suddenly return, even in the middle of pain? These were the first drops of heaven's wealth flowing into your soul. Proof that even before you saw anything in your hands, God was already making you rich on the inside. This day is not only about the release of external provision, though that will come. It is about the recognition that you already carry a wealth greater than anything this world can offer. Peace is wealth. Revelation is wealth. The ability to rest in God when the world is restless is wealth. The hope that refuses to die, no matter how dark the night becomes, is wealth. These are the treasures that shape your destiny. But here is the secret. When the soul prospers, everything else follows. A mind filled with peace has space to see opportunities. A heart healed of bitterness attracts the right relationships. A spirit aligned with heaven walks in favor that money alone cannot buy. The material blessings that will begin to flow from this day forward are not random gifts. They are fruits of the invisible wealth that has already been cultivated within you. Chosen one, this 3rd of September is unforgettable because it shifts your perspective. You will no longer measure yourself by what you lack, but by what you carry. You will stop chasing wealth in the world's terms and realize you have already been enriched by heaven's hand. And from that posture, resources will flow, not to define you, but to support the calling God has placed upon your life. So ask yourself now, are you ready to embrace wealth that cannot be counted? Are you willing to receive treasures that cannot be taken away? Because this day is not just about provision. It is about redefinition. God is teaching you to see yourself as already rich in what truly matters, so that the blessings to come will only confirm what has been true all along. You were never poor in His sight. You were always abundant in Him. Chosen one, when heaven decides to release wealth, it does not happen in secrecy. God always leaves signs, undeniable markers that reveal the shift has already begun. The 3rd of September is not simply a promise spoken in the unseen. It is a day of evidence, where heaven's movements can be traced in your heart, your body, your circumstances, and even in the atmosphere around you. If you pay attention, you will realize the windows of heaven have already opened above you. The first sign appears in your spirit. It is that unexplainable peace that settles inside you when nothing around you has changed yet. Bills may still be waiting, doors may not have swung wide open, but suddenly there is a calm assurance whispering, "It's already done." This peace is not of your own making. It is heaven's signature, the first drop of abundance breaking through. When the windows open, the storm within your heart begins to quiet before the storm outside has ended. Another sign is the sudden shift in connections. People who once drained your energy or pulled you backward begin to drift away, sometimes without explanation. At the same time, new connections appear, individuals who bring encouragement, opportunity, wisdom, and alignment. These shifts are not accidents. They are heaven, reorganizing your environment to match what is being poured out. When the windows open, you are repositioned. The wrong voices leave and the right voices enter. Provision itself begins to show signs of movement. Unexpected resources appear. A forgotten debt is paid back. An opportunity arises where there was none. Doors long shut, creak open. Small as they may seem at first, they are not to be dismissed. They are early fruit, confirming that heaven's supply chain is already active. What seemed blocked begins to flow in unexpected ways, because the windows above you are no longer sealed. Your body also bears witness. Many chosen feel it physically. Chills in prayer, warmth in their chest, sudden energy after weariness, or even tears that flow with no sadness attached. These are not random bodily reactions. They are evidence that your flesh is aligning with what the Spirit is releasing. Sometimes dreams intensify, carrying vivid images and impressions that linger. At other times, you may awaken in the night with a deep awareness of presence surrounding you. These signs are heaven's way of saying, "Look, I am here, I am moving," and then comes the renewal of the mind. Ideas, creativity, and solution begin to appear where there was once only frustration. Your perspective shifts. You start to see possibilities where before you saw only closed walls. Hope returns, not as wishful thinking, but as a quiet certainty that things are turning. This is another clear sign that heaven's windows are open. Your thoughts themselves are being irrigated by the abundance flowing from above. Chosen one, the enemy will try to convince you that nothing has changed. He will whisper that these shifts are too small, too ordinary, too coincidental. But do not believe him. Every detail, every peace-filled moment, every divine connection, every provision, every physical sign is a confirmation. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. They are markers of the windows being flung open over your life. This 3rd of September will stand as the day you learned to recognize the signs. From now on, whenever doubt arises, you will remember. I saw the evidence, I felt the shift. I lived the signs that proved the windows of heaven are open over me. And once those windows open, no power on earth or in hell can shut them again. Chosen one, when heaven releases wealth, the greatest question is not whether God will give. He already has decreed it. The real question is, are you ready to receive it? Because abundance without preparation can become a burden, and blessing without alignment can slip through your fingers. The 3rd of September is not only a day of release, it is a day of preparation, where heaven calls you to ready your heart for what is already flowing. Preparation begins with emptying. A heart cluttered with fear, resentment, jealousy, or pride has no room for abundance. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins. That is why so much of your journey until now has been about letting go. The disappointments that forced you to surrender. The deserts that stripped away pride. The silences that taught you patience. All of it was training. The Father was making sure that when this day came, you would not be crushed under the weight of what you were meant to carry with joy. Preparing the heart also means releasing the mentality of scarcity. For years you may have lived as if there was never enough. Not enough time, not enough resources, not enough opportunities. That mindset chains the soul and blinds the eyes. But today, heaven is rewriting your perspective. You are not entering a season of barely enough. You are stepping into overflow. To prepare your heart means choosing to believe that God is not rationing his goodness, but pouring it out in measures greater than you imagined. Gratitude is another key of preparation. A heart that cannot give thanks for the small will never hold the weight of the great. Think of how many times God sent little signs, a moment of peace, a provision that covered just enough, an unexpected word of encouragement, and you felt lifted. Gratitude for these smaller deposits trains your heart to honor the greater flood. If you honor the trickle, you will be trusted with the river. And preparation is not only inward, but outward. It is choosing to order your life so that you can carry what is coming. It might mean managing resources with wisdom, simplifying your schedule, or even shifting relationships that drain rather than build. Heaven does not waste abundance. The question is whether you will treat it as treasure or treat it carelessly. God prepares you to be a steward, not a squanderer. Chosen one, ask yourself now, what do you need to release So your heart is ready. Is there bitterness that must go? Is there fear that must be surrendered? Is there pride that must be broken? Heaven is not waiting for perfection, but for openness. A willing heart, even if still imperfect, is fertile ground for divine wealth. This 3rd of September will be unforgettable because it will not only mark the moment abundance is released, it will mark the moment you positioned yourself to receive it rightly. It is possible to stand under open windows and still miss the rain if your vessel is turned upside down. Preparation is turning your heart upward, ready to catch every drop. Remember this: abundance is not only about what God gives, but about how you carry it. A prepared heart transforms provision into testimony, resources into purpose, and wealth into worship. That is why this day is not just about what flows from heaven, but about what rises in you. The question is no longer if God will provide. The question is, will your heart be ready to hold what He has already decided to pour? Chosen one, the wealth of heaven is not measured only in what your hands can touch, but in what your heart can carry. For what use is money if the soul remains restless? What good are possessions if anxiety continues to consume you in the night? What is the value of influence if shame and fear still dictate your steps? That is why the 3rd of September is not only about external release, it is about inner prosperity. On this day, the Holy Spirit moves to make your soul prosper. The soul is the seat of emotions, thoughts, and memories. It carries the wounds of the past, the whispers of fear, and the echoes of unanswered questions. Many people appear strong outwardly, yet their souls are fragile, exhausted, and weighed down. True wealth begins when the Spirit enters these inner chambers and breathes new life. Prosperity of the soul means chains breaking where no one else could see them. It means the weight you thought was permanent suddenly lifts. It means you can smile again, not because circumstances changed, but because something inside you was healed. The Spirit prospers your soul by bringing deep healing. He touches places you tried to ignore, memories you buried, wounds you believed were permanent. He shines light into hidden corners, not to expose you in shame, but to restore you with love. The rejection that once defined you is reframed as proof that you were chosen. The failures that haunted you become testimonies of endurance. The sorrow that kept replaying in your heart transforms into evidence of His presence. That is prosperity, to no longer be ruled by the past, but free to live free, to live in the present with faith. Then comes reordering. The Spirit begins to align your thoughts with heaven's truth. Where once there were voices of scarcity saying, "There will never be enough," now you hear the whisper of abundance. "My grace is sufficient. My supply is endless." Where fear once dominated, courage rises. Where bitterness poisoned, gratitude flows. The soul prospers when the atmosphere inside of you shifts from survival to confidence, from despair to hope. This prosperity is not temporary relief. It is an eternal anchor. When your soul prospers, circumstances cannot steal your peace. Bills may wait, storms may come, people may walk away, yet you remain steady because your inner wealth is secure. You no longer live at the mercy of external conditions, for your foundation is in something unshakable. That is what the Spirit gives, not fleeting feelings, but lasting security. And when the soul prospers, every other area begins to align. Your body finds rest, your mind gains clarity, your relationships grow healthier, your decisions become wiser. Prosperity in the soul is like a river flowing outward. It touches everything else. This is why God begins here, because no external blessing can remain if the soul is broken. The Spirit ensures that the wealth released into your life is not just received, but sustained. Chosen one, perhaps you looked for prosperity in things and found only emptiness. Today, God is showing you where true abundance begins. It is in the presence of the Spirit, healing you, filling you, reorganizing you. That is the wealth no thief can steal, no rust can decay, no crisis can cancel. This 3rd of September, heaven is reminding you, I do not only want your hands full, I want your soul flourishing. From this day forward, let your testimony be this, that your soul prospered first, and everything else followed. Because when the Holy Spirit prospers the soul, the evidence is unshakable. You are not just surviving anymore, you are thriving from the inside out. Chosen one, there are days that pass quietly, and there are days heaven writes as turning points. The 3rd of September is not an ordinary day. It is a dividing line, a threshold drawn between what was and what will now be. Before this moment, your story was marked by waiting, by scarcity, by questions whispered in the dark. After this moment, your story carries the mark of release, abundance, and proof that God has always been faithful. A dividing line changes identity. Until now, you may have carried the weight of being overlooked, as though you were the one who was always left behind while others move forward. You may have even believed the lie that perhaps you were not chosen after all. But today, heaven declares otherwise. This day separates the false identity of the forgotten from the true identity of the remembered. From now on, you will no longer define yourself by what you lacked, but by what God has released. Think of a river. Before the dividing line, it flows in one direction. After the line, its course shifts permanently. That is what today represents. The flow of your life is no longer toward lack, fear, and delay. It now turns toward provision, confidence, and testimony. And just as rivers do not reverse, this shift cannot be undone. Once God changes the current, no enemy can force it back. But a dividing line is not only about what changes externally, it is about what must be left behind. You cannot cross into the new while still clinging to the old. Fear cannot survive on the other side. Shame cannot follow you past this day. The scarcity mindset, the doubt, the belief that you are forgotten, these all belong to the before. The line has been drawn, and now you must step into the after. If you insist on carrying yesterday's chains, you will find they have no place in tomorrow's abundance. And this line is visible to others as well. Those who have watched your journey will begin to notice something has shifted. They may not fully understand, but they will see the peace in your eyes, the strength in your voice, the authority in your steps. Testimony does not always need words. Sometimes the dividing line is evident simply in how you carry yourself. Even those who doubted will pause, sensing that something beyond explanation has occurred. Chosen one, do not underestimate the holiness of this day. Heaven rarely marks a day so clearly. The 3rd of September is not meant to be forgotten like the rest. It will be the day you point back to and say, that was when everything changed. And the memory of this dividing line will be your anchor when doubt tries to creep in again. You will remember that after this day, nothing could remain the same. So I ask you, will you step boldly into the after, or will you cling to the before? Will you let this day be a memorial stone of God's faithfulness, or will you treat it as ordinary? The line is drawn whether you acknowledge it or not, but the choice to embrace it is yours. This 3rd of September is unforgettable because it divides your story. From now on, there is no going back. You are crossing into a life defined by abundance, by testimony, by remembrance. And that is what will carry you forward. The certainty that your after has begun, and nothing can take it away. Chosen one. The 3rd of September is not just a date that you will glance back on with nostalgia. It is a seal written into your destiny. From this day forward, your life carries a mark, a holy imprint that declares you were chosen not for survival, but for abundance. This is the day heaven announced. You are remembered, you are seen, and now you are released into wealth. And that declaration can never be erased. To be marked by God means that your very identity has shifted. You are no longer defined by deserts, but by rivers. You are no longer identified by waiting, but by fulfillment. You are not the forgotten one. You are the remembered one. The questions that once haunted you, did God hear me? Did he see me? Did he abandon me? Collapse under the weight of this truth. You were never abandoned, and now your life itself stands as proof. This wealth is not limited to money. If it were, it could be stolen, corrupted, or wasted. But the wealth you carry is eternal. It is the peace that steadies you when storms rise. It is the joy that bubbles up even when tears fall. It is the clarity of vision that guides your steps when confusion surrounds you. And yes, it will manifest in provision, in doors opening, in opportunities unfolding. But these are fruits, not roots. The root is the abundance of heaven, planted deep in your soul. From this day on, others will notice the mark, even if they cannot name it. They will see it in the way you carry yourself, in the hope you refuse to let go of, in the atmosphere that shifts when you walk into a room. You will not have to strive to prove it. The testimony will shine through you. That is what it means to be marked. The evidence is undeniable, and it points not to your strength, but to God's faithfulness. But with this mark comes responsibility. Wealth is not given only to be held, but to be multiplied. You are called to steward it wisely, to let it overflow into lives around you. The peace you received is meant to bring peace to others. The provision you carry is meant to lift others from lack. The testimony you live is meant to ignite hope in those who still believe they are forgotten. The wealth of God does not end with you. It flows through you. Chosen one, this 3rd of September is now etched in eternity as your dividing line. From here forward, your story cannot be told without this day. When doubt whispers, you will remember. When fear tries to return, you will recall the seal placed on you. When the enemy accuses, you will stand firm and declare, I was marked. I was remembered. I live in the wealth of God. So walk forward now, not as one begging for scraps, but as one entrusted with treasures. Lift your head, steady your steps, let gratitude guide your words. The mark you carry is eternal, and nothing can strip it away. From this day on, you are not merely surviving. You are living proof of divine abundance. You are forever marked to live in the wealth of God.